just don't know if Jaron Boots Ennis is ready for Terence Crawford just yet. You know, he had a great performance. Everybody likes to compare performances against common opponents, and you know, Jaron Boots Ennis did his thing for sure. He had a good performance, and the power's there, and the defense a little bit lackluster to many of the people viewing it. But I thought his defense, you know, wasn't that bad. I think he just knew that Avanesian couldn't really hurt him, so he was letting up on the defense a little bit, and that's fine. But obviously against Terence Crawford, he's not going to fight David Avanesian, you know, one way and then Terence Crawford the same way. He understands, you know, you prepare differently for certain kinds of opponents. I never believed that fighters really trained one specific way for, you know, every single fighter out there. I just don't believe that's true, because you can't fight a different fighter the same way as all the other ones. You just can't do that. If you fought Manny Pacquiao the same way you fight Floyd Mayweather, you're going to lose one of the two. That's just the way it is. And within the sport, there aren't too many guys that I could see beating Boots Ennis, especially at 47. At 47, he's that guy. It's kind of like, I always say this, but it's kind of like the crown of 147 kind of fell into Jaron Boots Ennis's lap, because before him, obviously, you had the Terence Crawfords, Earl Spence's, and then, you know, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, whoever else you want to put at 47, who was a big name. You even had Virgil Ortiz at the time as more of a prospect name. But now it's really become Boots' era at 47, and honestly, I can't even call it an era, because it's only been, you know, what, 1 year, and he's already kind of taken over the division. I don't see anybody beating him at 47, so I think the only thing for him, if he really wants that Terence Crawford fight, he's going to have to obviously go to 54, and he looked like a big 47-pounder. I don't even know if he'd be able to make 47 too many more times until he'd have to eventually and inevitably move up to 54, but I just think against Terence Crawford right now, I think, you know, experience definitely edges the fight in favor of Terence Crawford for me, in my opinion. Right now, there's just some things that I see in Terence Crawford that I don't see in Boots Ennis, and it's that in that southpaw stance, that jab from Terence Crawford, just it's more like a whip. Like all of Terence Crawford's shots look really stinging, as opposed to Boots, where there's power there, but it's not like as fast as Terence Crawford. I feel like with Bud, you really can't see it coming, but with Boots, like he's still good. He still did his thing. And I was gonna say in this video that Terence Crawford doesn't get hit as much as Boots Ennis, but looking back at that Avanesian fight, I just saw, you know, and it was the highlights. I'm not rewatching that whole fight, but I obviously watched it live, and then when I rewatched it, Terence Crawford obviously was getting hit by Avanesian's right hand a lot. So either way, you know, both guys got hit by Avanesian. Avanesian's a pretty slept-on fighter just because he's not a big name. People tend to sleep on a lot of fighters. Take guys like Artem Hardatunian, who Shakur Stevenson fought. Not a lot of people know him, but I think now, you know, he might be a test for a lot of guys at 35 or maybe even 40, and then Steve Claggett for Teofimo Lopez. These guys are going to become kind of like gatekeepers for a lot of fighters. And, you know, for Jaron Boots Ennis, what was he thinking by fighting David Avanesian? He was saying, if Bud beat him, I want to beat that guy, so it puts me in line for a shot with Terence Crawford. And I just don't think he's done enough to earn that fight yet, even though, you know, I think it's a great fight. I'd love to see it, take my money, but just looking at it from a boxing perspective, you got to earn your fights, especially if you're not a big superstar, and Boots just isn't there right yet. You have guys like Ryan Garcia. This is kind of like a weird example, but Ryan Garcia kind of skipped the line to fight a guy like Gervonta Davis, and obviously went on to have that win over Devin that still got overturned. But still, Ryan proved that he's still a top contender. Maybe lost to Tank, but beat a guy like Devin, and, you know, whatever you guys want to say about that fight. But for Boots Ennis, I think that he's going to have to earn, you know, in some way earn that Terence Crawford fight. If it's beating the winner of Spence and Fondora whenever the heck that happens or gets finalized, or, you know, fighting the winner of Madrimov and Crawford straight head on, that's fine too. But I think I'd like to see him against a guy like Spence. I don't know. You know, we have to see how Spence looks at 54 at first, in my opinion. I think that we have to see how he's recovered from that beating that he took. Is he gun shy? Does he still have that same work rate after the beating that he took? There are a lot of, you know, unanswered questions that we still have to see answered in the ring by Earl Spence Jr. And it's all about activity. I think for Boots and Earl Spence, obviously Earl's coming off a big loss, so you can't expect him to really be in the ring right away, especially after a hellacious beatdown that he took. But for Boots, on the other hand, I feel like he's got to stay more active to keep his name there, for them to to continue to promote him as a matchroom fighter. I think that to get the most traction, you got to stay active. You have to stay in people's faces, stay on their television sets, stay on their iPhones, stay on their computers, and make sure that they're tuning into every event that you're fighting on, because Boots has got the goods. I think Boots is right now, he's obviously, you know, one of those guys that's taking over the throne for a lot of weight classes, for 47 and probably even 54 at some point. You know, I really do want to see the Terence Crawford fight, but I've been telling you guys from the start, I already knew Boots was good. I already knew he had the goods, but it's all about, you know, is it worth the squeeze for a guy like Terence Crawford? It's probably not going to be worth it unless a guy like Turki Al-Ashik can put up the money for that fight. But, you know, otherwise, I don't see a route for Terence Crawford and Boots to really make it happen, because for Boots, it's a great opportunity, has everything to gain, not really anything to lose, except, you know, obviously that record. But Terence Crawford has everything to lose in that fight and not really anything to gain. By beating a guy like Boots, they're going to say he was too green, this and that. But, you know, I want to see the fight. I'm not trying to, you know, downplay the fight or discourage the fight from going on. I just know the reality of the situation and, you know, the business of boxing. And I think that what Boots is bringing to the table should be enough, but we know how boxing is. They really care about, you know, selling pay-per-views and making sure if Terence Crawford's fighting, better be a pay-per-view fight. And then, you know, you have to have a good dance partner if you want to sell a lot for these promotions. So I don't see Bud fighting Boots. I just don't think it makes sense. I think we have a better chance of seeing Charlo in there with Crawford. I think we have a better chance of seeing the rematch with Spence than seeing the Boots fight. That's just me being real. You know, you guys know I'd love to see that fight. That's been one of the biggest fights. I've been saying that that's like a more exciting fight to me than Spence and Crawford, and it has been for a while, you know. So because I always knew, you know, Boots was one of those styles that like maybe could give Crawford a hard time, but obviously, you know, tightening up the defense. But I at the same time, I don't see Boots, you know, fighting Crawford obviously the same way that he fought Evan Easy, and you just can't say that when people are saying like, you know, he's got to tighten up the defense. Yeah, I'd agree, but like no fighter is gonna really look perfect. Shakur Stevenson commented on that. They were saying, you know, he gets an exciting stoppage, and then you guys say that, you know, he has to work on his defense. You get a good decision, then you're saying that he wasn't throwing his hands enough. And I understand that. It could be frustrating when boxing fans, you know, you're never gonna please everybody, but you know, that's the sport you choose. You choose to be these modern day gladiators, and you're gonna get criticized now in the time where it's all about social media. Everyone can attack you as soon as you fight, and they're gonna go back to everything you said before the fight. So it's only natural that these fighters are gonna get this criticism, and it's, you know, only natural that they continue to move forward. You know, all these haters, all these people, you know, secretly preying on these fighters' downfall, like they're secretly fans. So that's just the truth of the matter. You know, I know Boots had a great performance. I would give it A-, B+ at worst. You know, he did his thing for sure, but it's just we obviously all want to see Boots and Terence Crawford. I just don't know the realistic possibility of that going down, because like I said, it's all about the business. And even though sometimes it shouldn't be, it should be about, you know, who's the best contender, who could give another fighter the biggest challenge. But it's also a complication of, you know, it's such a high risk for Terence Crawford, and he might not be getting paid the same amount. Not to mention, you know, he would have to be fighting on pay-per-view for that fight, and then he'd get the back end of the pay-per-view. But with a dance partner like Jaron Boots Ennis, are the casual fans going to come out, you know, to watch that kind of fight? Is Terence Crawford a big enough star for people to really make that fight go down and make it worth the squeeze, for where he's taking a huge risk in fighting a guy like Boots, but at the same time not making the same money that he would get fighting a guy like Spence? If he could do it in the Middle East, and, you know, the Saudis have the money to put it up, that's a different story. But you know, Eddie Matchroom, if they're just gonna stay, you know, local around the US and they're funding it from their pocket, I don't see it really happening anytime soon. Honestly, it might never happen. A lot of people are saying it will never happen, but I don't want to, you know, ever say never. I wouldn't bet that fight gets made. I think it's just, you know, he just missed the train. You know what I mean? If Boots was like 3-4 years on the scene before, you know, he was, then maybe he has a chance, a way better chance. But he's just missing that Crawford train, and he might catch the Spence train. So we'll see what happens. I would love to see, you know, Boots fight any big 54-pounder. If it's Charlo, if it's Spence. I really like that Spence fight. I don't even know if Boots beats Spence, because we have to see Spence how he looks at 54, and then I could kind of better analyze the fight. It's all about, you know, the inactivity from both guys. and more so how Spence is going to respond to that beating. I want to see how he looks against a guy like Fondora. So we'll see what happens. Jaron Boots Ennis has a very good performance, and it was exciting. He got the stoppage win, and it's on to the next. Hopefully he stays active. But thank you guys for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
That's going to do it for another NASFIGHT Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.